It said so, so I don't know. Hold on, let me just double check to make sure, because you know how these things are. Choo, 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 choo. Um, yeah, we're live. We're
Okay.
absolutely okay. Wonderful. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 2026 and Wake the Nation. Wait, how long have we been doing this? Since,
Since
was it 2021, 2022?
it definitely was 2021. I want to say the tail end of 2020 actually.
Yeah, I mean, my
So we're
Lord, God,
going on.
God's been good.
Yeah, we 5 years in. Yeah, we
Yeah,
need to have an
wow.
anniversary. We need to have an
Yes,
anniversary.
yes. You know what? I do hope we can have some of the co-hosts that we started with will
Yeah,
join
I
us.
think that'd be cool.
Will
I
join
think-
us. That would be great. That would be great. That would be great. But good evening, everyone. Welcome for those who are on Facebook. Welcome to Wake the Nation. We greet you and we're starting off this Wake the Nation, and we, by the way, we have an exciting next month. You know, topic will be, but we'll tell you at the end of this, right, what it is going to be about. Is something, if you are a student, you know, in college, or if you are going to college, or if you are your parent with kids in college, you need to tune in to that one. All right, just saying that. But tonight, we are dealing with a topic. How many of you have ever heard of hang-xiety? By the right? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. That's Hangxiety, right? Not anxiety, but hang-xiety. All right. So welcome once again to Wake the Nation. My co-host and I, um, from Dunamis Sound Minds, CEO and founder, right? Thais Love, and she wears many hats. Y'all know that, right? She can add to those lists of accomplishments now because she's now a doula.
Yes.
So that's been added. So she can list all of her titles. The thing is, you know, we continue to do, right? We all have, we wear many hats and we continue to do, right? Because we're assigned to be
Right.
able to um, enlighten, inform, and dance or share information, counsel,
Co-host.
right,
Yes.
and co-host. You know, we're just here doing what we're assigned to do, right? And so we thank God for that. Well, this topic came to mind. I wasn't aware of it before, but I became aware of it last month specifically, and it's entitled Hang-xiety. Well, what is that? It's a common post drinking experience that many people may face. You may be facing it out there and not know exactly what it is, right? Is that, you know, some folks say, I don't get a hangover, right? Some folks get a hangover where you have your headache, you're nauseous, you know, you have trouble concentrating. But here, with the anxiety added to that, you feel anxious, you have panic anxiety attacks, right? You have panic attacks, you feel anxious, you have excessive worry. And sometimes it's because you think, wait, did I do something that was embarrassing last night? You know, you're out with friends, you're drinking, and sometimes you can't even put your finger on what really has caused the anxiety, what's causing your heart to race, what's causing you to feel nauseous, what's causing you to tremble. Well, it happens because here's what. When you drink, your brain actually, alcohol, right? disrupts the chemical balance of your brain. So when your brain's trying to go back to normal, you start feeling these things. Why? Because alcohol actually shuts off your, it's called GABA, but it's your gamma amniotic butyric, but yes, butyric, right? Acid receptor. That is the receptor that is responsible for you feeling relaxed. You know how our brain, right? And then for the it heightens the glutamine, which is, and your glutamate, sorry, and your glutamate is your brain's neurotransmitter, right? It's crucial for your nerve cell communication, right? So how ooh, you touch something, ooh, I know that's hot or I know that's cold. The thing that sends that message, right? It is also responsible for your cognitive functions, you thinking. This is why, you have trouble thinking clearly afterwards, right? And also your memory, learning, right? It's responsible for all that. So anxiety occurs once the alcohol starts wearing off. And so many people will say, "Oh, I could drink and not feel anything." Then something is amiss, right? I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, and she's going to go further into it. But and your hang-xiety, Hang, it's like a hangover with anxiety, can last anywhere from 24 hours or more. So it could last a day or it could last more. Now, something I would urge you, if you are on medication, really you shouldn't be drinking. That's one, right? If you don't smoke marijuana and drink, that's another, right? If your liver is unhealthy, and the only way to know if your liver is healthy is if you go to the doctor. If your liver is unhealthy, don't go. But when you start feeling these things, it's telling you that something is wrong, right? And so if you feel you cannot stop drinking on your own, like you're just drinking, and every time your friends go out, or you feel pressured into, don't feel pressured into taking a drink if you know it makes you feel anxious, it makes you feel nauseous, your heart's racing. If it's disrupting your equilibrium, if it's disrupting your natural well-being, then you should not feel any pressure, and you should believe, if these are your friends that you're hanging out with, that it's okay to say no. You can also, um if you choose, okay, I'm going to drink something, you drink one drink, you can also drink non-alcoholic drinks. You can also, when your friends are taking rounds and rounds, maybe a bottle or two of beer, or more than one different kind of drinks, you can have non-alcoholic drinks thereafter, after you've had a drink, right? And I'm not encouraging drinking, I'm not for it. I'm just saying ways in which you can help yourself, because we know that it is difficult. I learned this many years ago, that actually alcohol withdrawal is actually worse than drugs. So it's not something that easily, it's, you need to go see your doctor, see your counselor, someone who can help you and guide you through tapering off, right? That is if you're into that heavily. If you've just started, then that shouldn't be a problem to stop, right? Also, drink water. Water really helps. It's going to flush, it's going to keep you from becoming dehydrated, because alcohol actually leads to dehydration.
Yeah.
Consumption, I should say. Alcohol on its own, alcohol consumption leads to dehydration. So you do need to drink lots of water. And the more water you drink, the less, you'll consume, the less alcohol you'll consume. Also, eat before drinking. Eat nutritious food. Don't just eat junk food. Here's why. When you eat nutritious Food, it will help to slow down the effects of the alcohol, and it will also help your body to get rid of the toxins from the alcohol. So eat nutritious food. A lot of people like to eat junk food, chips, and so forth. Maybe add a salad to, your pizza or something that some spinach or some kale, things that or cucumbers, right? That will help. Cucumbers, because it's a water soluble vegetable, fruit, and it will help to pull out the toxins, right? And slow your pace. Sometimes when you're with friends and everybody's drinking, and you're drinking and laughing, you're sipping, 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 and before you know it, you've had two, three, four, five different drinks or beer or whatever it is. So you have to start keeping track of what you are drinking. And as I said before, um, for you to feel unwell, you have one brain, one brain. Nobody can give you another. The best doctors in the world cannot give you another brain, right? So, uh, get adequate rest so your brain can recover and take care of yourself. And I will turn it over to my co host because we just want to see you well. All right? Okay. Take it
Thank you.
away.
Thank you so much, Rev. You did an excellent job in breaking down what exactly is anxiety.
Thank you.
Um, it is a term that arrived somewhere on the internet,
Yeah.
and it just caught on from there.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a sort of a new term, and it's used to describe those feelings of anxiety and paranoia almost, um,
Yeah.
uh, that one would come would experience anywhere from 12 to 24 hours after doing a lot of drinking of alcohol. And so it is a combination of um, your body is undergoing side effects from hangover, along with the anxiety, as you very well explained. Um, Studies show that about 12% of uh, habitual drinkers experience anxiety on the regular. They may not be aware that that's an additional side effect, uh, but it is. Um, Many people, just kind of shrug it off, thinking, oh, well, I drank till I blacked out yesterday, and, now I have to get my head together, today, and all of this. But even blacking out while drinking or over consuming alcohol. That is yet another sign that you've had too much. Your body is reacting to the amount of alcohol consumption that you are putting it through. And so anxiety is a reaction. It is particularly a brain reaction, a brain response to uh, consuming so much alcohol, and as the effects of the alcohol wear off, as it passes through your body, your brain then quickly tries to recover and reboot, so to speak, and recalibrate the chemicals in your brain.
Hmm.
Uh, Rev, you had spoken of the the GABA and the glutamate.
Mhm.
Um, Anxiety occurs when your brain tries to reset and recalibrate the levels of both the GABA and the glutamate um, chemicals in your brain,
Yes.
trying to find that new balance again. And it your brain does it rather quickly, and so for several hours, your brain is trying to compensate for being almost asleep. Um, because alcohol uh, causes an excessive amount of the GABA um, chemical in your brain, and it relaxes you, calms you down, and where you're almost you're slowed a whole lot. And then
Mhm.
as that wears off, your brain like wakes up and it's like, okay, okay, and tries to speed up and catch back up, and so it does that, you know, it overcompensates, and so you start feeling the jitters, your nerves are going, and your heart starts racing, and you get short of breath, and you're trying to think about, well, what happened yesterday, what part did I miss, and in your attempts to try to do that short-term memory recall, your brain is not able to do that. So then you start to literally feel panicky, like, oh my gosh, did I overdo it? Did I do something that I'm going to regret? And you start really trying to think about it over and over and over again to try to recapture those memories, or try to remember something that you might have done or said, uh, that you might have to explain to your friends or family or whatever. And it's that inability to recapture those memories, those thoughts that make you kind of panic and feel anxious. And that goes on, as you stated, for several hours after a night of drinking. It can start as early as 12 hours after a night of drinking, and last anywhere from 24 to sometimes 48 hours. You can actually go through that anxiety experience. Um, but there are things that you can do. And Rev, thank you. You made some great suggestions. Um, there's some other things that you can do as well to um, intercept that reaction, or try to decrease that reaction. You had mentioned drinking water, because yes, alcohol does cause dehydration. That's why when you're drinking, when people have a habit of drinking a lot, they become thirsty. They literally become thirsty. How can you become thirsty after drinking so much? Because alcohol dehydrates you. It pulls moisture out of your body. The
Mhm.
alcohol itself replaces the water-based fluids in your body. So your body does crave water, but
Mhm. And
your
alcohol burns up. It
yeah, it burns
like
it
can
right out.
evaporate. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It dries you right out.
Mhm.
Um, so yes, drinking water helps. Um, also, and And eating, a lot of times when people know that they're going to go out and they're going to have a good time with alcohol, they don't they don't think to eat healthy. They think, all right, I'm gonna eat something to quote unquote coat my stomach.
Yes.
But they don't eat anything healthy. They don't eat things that will actually provide them with nutrients. They don't think along those lines. They think about that after, um, the next day. Um, but the next day, what you can do is, um, do some light exercises.
Yeah.
Engage your brain in activities where you would think about other stuff instead of trying to ruminate or think over and over again about what happened the night before. Once you become aware that, okay, I'm going through anxiety, okay, it's okay. I know what this is. Take some deep breaths and calm yourself down. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in the anxious feelings.
Yeah,
Okay.
the panic.
Uh,
Yeah.
Reassure yourself that, okay, I had a night of drinking, but I'm home, I'm safe. I probably did not do anything too risque. And even if you think you did, you know, calm down because it's done already. Okay, it's already done. If you actually did do something, it's already done. And so you gotta now, move on because it's already done. Instead of sitting there wondering and trying to remember, did I didn't, I don't know, just understand and become aware that, you know, I'm going through anxiety. This is a response. This is my brain responding to a night of drinking. And I'm okay. I'm okay, and I just got to get through this so that you don't allow yourself to become extra anxious and allow your mind to just race out of control and everything, because that leads to even more problems. Another thing that you can do besides exercise, light exercises, um, besides the deep breathing, besides um, finding brain activities that will divert your mind from what happened last night. Um, you can also get some rest.
Yeah. The
Go to
brain.
sleep.
Yeah. Hmm.
Go to sleep because uh, you know,
Sleep
you,
heals.
yeah, sleep heals. Sleep allows your brain to rest and
The brain.
recalibrate,
Recalibrate. Hmm.
releasing stress, releasing toxins, and all of that. You do that best while you're sleeping. So if you just go to bed, take a nap, you know, that also will help relieve the anxiety symptoms and the feelings of anxiety. Um, and your body needs that rest. Okay. Um, and then last but not least, uh, to avoid anxiety altogether, make up your mind that you're going to set limits to how
Yeah.
much you're drinking, or set limits to whether or not you're going to drink. Um, you got to know when to say when. And so you got to make that agreement within yourself. Okay. Um, Also, um, who is more susceptible to anxiety? Um, Studies show that people who already have issues with anxiety or experience anxiety disorders, they with their consumption of alcohol, it heightens their anxiety disorder symptoms. Okay, so if you already know that you um, suffer with anxiety disorders, um, drinking a lot of alcohol um, may not be the best decision for you, or understand that anxiety can very well happen to you and happen to you often. Okay. Um, so people with anxiety disorders are more susceptible to having experience anxiety. Also, people who are very shy, people who are very shy when they're sober, um, they tend to experience high anxiety because when you are those people who are shy in their demeanor, um, when they drink alcohol, uh, many of them drink alcohol to get what's called liquid courage. Like they get brave, they get a little bit more boisterous, or they feel encouraged to do things or say things kind of outside of their normal uh, character. Um, and that's
Loosen
that
their
the
inhibitions.
Yes, they they get free from their uh inhibitions and things of that nature. And so they start to feel that when as they're drinking the alcohol, they start to feel, whoo, like they're somebody else, and they're free to be somebody else. And so then they drink more and more, and then after that night is over, the next day they start to experience anxiety because they know that under the influence of alcohol, they are not acting like themselves. So they're aware of that, and so they're like, oh God, I know I wasn't myself drinking all of that alcohol, but now I don't even know what I did, what I said. I just know I was not myself. And so they also um, experience anxiety uh, more so than other people. Okay. And so, uh, and a study showed that women experience anxiety a little bit more than men as well, um, possibly for similar reasons, and that they some women when they drink alcohol, they lose their inhibitions, and they feel free to be whoever they feel like they want to be at that moment, and the next day after they're like, oh gosh, what did I do? So those are the people that are more susceptible to experiencing anxiety um, in with excessive drinking or with drinking alcohol. Also, like first timers. So, like, young people who might be drinking a lot of alcohol, for the first time, or, they're new to drinking
Yeah.
alcohol, they too are very susceptible to experiencing anxiety um, effects. Like you hear a lot about college students, playing drinking games and with alcohol, or doing binge drinking because someone challenged them, at a campus party or what have you. Um, and, for the same reasons, they lose their inhibitions, or they want to prove that they can handle the large amount of alcohol. And then after the next day, after drinking all of that much, they start experiencing anxiety. And many of them are not even aware that it's anxiety that they're experiencing. They just think, oh, okay, that's part of the hangover, you know, um, and it is all just one thing, but um, yeah. So those are the people that are more susceptible to anxiety than others. Um, and so, you know, anyone out there, if you've experienced this, um, now you know what it is, and now you know what to do about it. If you haven't experienced it yet, um, it doesn't mean that you're going to experience it. It just means that um, there's a possibility, to experience it. And it's a similar thing with people who smoke marijuana um, on the regular. They come down with a paranoia, you know. The next day after they've smoked, or maybe a few hours after they've smoked, you know, they they're looking over their shoulder and everything, like that. It's a similar thing. It's a similar thing that's going on in their bodies as well. It's their brains uh, response to having taking in so much of that chemical, or that alcohol, that is trying to recalibrate itself and adjust all of your brain chemicals and body chemistry. So yeah, that is what anxiety is about. And you know please put your comments in the chat, or ask questions. We love to respond to your comments and questions. Don't forget to like and share this video with someone that may be experiencing anxiety, or may be susceptible to experiencing it. And just help us get the word out and everything. But anxiety is simply one of the effects of over consumption of alcohol. There are many, many others. You can actually go through and experience alcohol poisoning. That's what the um, that's what occurs when some people, they drink and then they black out or pass out. They just lose consciousness. That's as a result of drinking so much. Their body can't take it and it just shuts down. But the moral of the story is knowing when to say when. If you choose to drink alcohol, understand and know your limitation. Okay. Sit down with yourself and decide whether or not you want to drink, or how much do you want to drink, because only you live inside your skin. um, you might be drinking with friends and everything, and no one, you know everyone is different. And they're not going to say to you, oh, you look like you've had too much. They may not say that to you, but you know. Um, so, and if you don't know, find out. and just take it easy. The Bible says to that let your moderation be known to all men,
Yeah.
and I think that that's um, a really good rule of thumb. You
Yes.
know, use moderation.
Yes.
Can't go wrong with that.
No,
Thanks
you
for letting
can.
me share.
Thank you. And I just want to say, just as studies have shown, as Thais shared with you, that if you're predisposed to anxiety, that is the Anxiety, that if when you consume or overconsume alcohol, you can then develop Hanxiety. That is anxiety that is combined with the effects of a hangover because you've consumed alcohol. Uh, but studies have also shown that if you continue drinking and keep getting anxiety, that that can lead to alcohol related mental health issues. And so this is why, as she said, you if you're drinking, you need to drink in moderation. And you know yourself. You have to know when to say when. If you find that after all, every time you consume, and sometimes, some folks can drink, let's say beers. Some folks can drink 5, 6, 7 bottles of beer. You may be drinking three and feel this way after the three, right? Because everybody's um, biological makeup is different. And
Yeah.
so you have to know how much it is that after you've had this amount, how you feel after that, right? And so to take precaution, as we said, eat healthy foods because it's all going to help you to slow down the effects of the alcohol and to help you to remove toxins. Always hydrate, drink water. Alcohol dehydrates you. When you consume copious amount, you get dehydrated. So drink water. And the best way to heal your brain, because your brain actually is affected, is to rest. Rest, really. There is healing in resting. Yeah. But I want to share this Proverbs with you. It is Proverbs 23, and I'm going to read for you in your hearing, verses 29 through 35, which I find very interesting, that this is actually in the Bible. It says, who has anguish? Who has sorrow? Who is always fighting? Who is always complaining? Who has unnecessary bruises? Now, the reason why I say I find this interesting because so many times people who drink and not necessarily alcoholics, but you go out and you have a good time. There are times when you feel anguished, you're sorrowful afterwards. You fight when you get intoxicated, right? You complain more than the normal. Sometimes you find you wake up, you have bruises on your body that you don't know how it got there, right? You may have fallen, somebody may have hit you, you can't remember. As Thais mentioned about blacking out with the alcohol poisoning or just overconsumption. It says, who has bloodshot eyes? That's like one of the telltale, that's like the easiest, right? It says, it is one who spends long hours in the taverns trying out new drinks. Don't gaze at the wine, seeing how red it is, how it sparkles in the cup, how smoothly it goes down. For in the end, it bites like a poisonous snake, it stings like a viper. And so I thought about that because I remembered when I was reading one of the studies where it says that people who suffer from anxiety also have issues with their liver. Now, sometimes you don't even know if the more alcohol you consume, the more your liver becomes affected by it, right? And so it says it stings like a viper, which is a snake, right? So it goes down smoothly. It may, like when you're drinking different cocktails, some people say, "Ooh, that's so sweet." Or I can share this with you. When I was young, I was like 18. I think I was 18 or so. Coming from work, a group of my friends and I, about five of us, we went to um hula hands. I think it was hula hands. It was one of the Irish pub
Yep.
kind of place where you go to eat. They had good food. They really had good food. We used to get our lunch from there. But this day they said, "Oh, let's go have let's just go have dinner and some drinks, so forth and so on." I'm not used to drinking and I'm not going to, right? Like just nah. So anyway, but here's what happened to me. So on the, where they have the list of beverages, I saw Long Island iced tea. Now, my mom always made iced tea, and my mom's iced tea was so good. So I was like, well, let me try this Long Island iced tea. So I ordered the, now they all watch me order the iced tea knowing I don't drink, right?
Yes.
But I thank God. This is how you know who your friends are. I
Yes.
thank God. I thank God. That the one of one of the young ladies that was there, and we later developed a relationship, and she didn't order a drink that, yeah, she ordered it was a Shirley Temple, but the non-alcoholic version, right? Anyway,
Virgin.
when
Yeah.
it came, she said, she said, I was like, I said, no, this doesn't smell like iced tea. And she said, that's because it's just full of liquor. Like it's like five different kind of rum or something like that. I don't even. I was like, oh, so I'm glad I didn't take the, but I could smell, definitely smell the alcohol. So I just say that to say that cocktails, sometimes they have fancy names, like the Bermuda this or the that, and they're, drinks that will go down smoothly and sweetly, but it will sting, right? It will
Right.
bite like a poisonous snake or sting you like a viper. So, and it continues by saying, you will see hallucinations and you will say crazy things. And this is another problem that causes hang-anxiety, because it's like people at the year-end office party, right? Or,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of folks that has happened to would
Social
act,
drinking.
have
Yes.
danced on tables, have done and said things, and then the next day, and then you have to go back to work and face your colleagues. That, so it causes, you can see hallucinations and say crazy things. It says, you will stagger like a sailor tossed at sea. You know how you can see when the sailors or folks are on the boats that are rocking in the ocean. They're like slipping and sliding. And a lot of times when people get intoxicated, they pretty much have that, gait that you're unsteady in your gait, right? And so um, uh, it says clinging to a swaying mast. I have seen people do this, intoxicated, trying to grab onto, you've seen people on the streets. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, you know,
Yeah.
I remember watching this gentleman, and just because I was afraid he was going to go out, fall in the street, he was like at the edge and just teetering. And I knew he wasn't fine, but I'm like, I don't know him. So I just stood back, just so I said I would call 911, or God forbid he fell in the street, I would help him to get out of the street. But at the same time, I was just praying, please, Lord, don't let him fall in the street. So he staggered, staggered, staggered. So I asked him if he didn't want to lean. There was a fence. I said, don't you want to lean against the fence? And he just leaned and plopped to the ground. Right. And so I was like, I figured it wasn't winter, so I said, you know what, you'll sleep it off and wake up. So,
Right.
you know, but I'm just saying, I've seen that where, people will grab onto, like, try to grab onto something that is maybe not even there to steady their gait, steady their walk or their balance, right? And then it will say, and then in the Proverbs, verse 35 says, and you will say, they hit me, but I didn't feel it, which is something I didn't think about, that people who drink, because you know how sometimes people who drink, they get into the what they say bar fights, and
Yeah.
then they get hit, and,
They
and,
get
and then they don't
aggressive.
know,
Yeah.
and then the next day they're like, wait, where did I get that? Like they don't remember being hit. So where
Right.
did they get that from, right? And so it says, they hit me, but I didn't feel it. I didn't even know when they beat me up, right? When will I wake up? The proverb says, so I can look for another drink. And that, at this point, I take it that the person has become an alcoholic. Just
Right.
like when you're
Addiction. Yeah.
addicted to cigarettes or anything that you're addicted to, it's no matter what it is you go through, right after that, you still want another one, right? And so this is what it's saying. But in order not to get to that level, you've got to know your limits. You've got to know and want more for your health. So we're just bringing this awareness to those who you may have experienced some of the things that we've mentioned, or that the studies show, and you may not have known what it was, but you can always consult with your doctor. You know what to do. And if you need help, I always say get help, because sometimes you alone cannot help yourself, right? But you have to want to get that help. So I just wanted, my co host and I, we wanted to bring this to your attention. And we ask that you share this information, and we'll upload it to our YouTube channels as well. And, mine is Flo, FLO, Chang-Ageda, um, and Dunamis Sound Mind Services. You can go there on Facebook or on YouTube, and you'll find it there, and you can share with those who aren't on Facebook, because a lot of times, and I've actually heard people complain about this, saying, you know what? And here's the point. I know it says overconsumption, and but in one of the studies I read, it just said consuming alcohol. Because I've
Yeah.
heard people say, I didn't have that much to drink, but I don't know. I just feel so, I've literally heard people say that. And I had to say, wait a minute, that's what it was, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
why I was talking about the first time drinkers or the
yes,
beginning drinkers as
yes,
well, because
yes,
you don't know how much alcohol that and how it affects you or how it's going to affect you. So yeah, um you could have that effect after one drink,
yeah,
especially if you're not used to consuming alcohol like that. So yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
So
Oh,
we
I
just go ahead.
I wanted to share a story real quick,
Hmm.
because I too I'm not one that indulges in alcohol, um, but uh, I had my share of experiences, not knowing. I remember I when I lived in Buffalo, a friend of my children's father at the time, um, his family invited us over for Thanksgiving dinner, and we went. and we had Thanksgiving, and it was our first time, meeting his friend Daryl, and Daryl's family, and Daryl, his family is from the South, and they had Southern cuisine and everything, but they had fruit cake. And fruitcake is similar to the Caribbean rum cake. Okay.
Mm.
But at least in the Caribbean, you know what one of the main ingredients
It's
is.
rum.
Right. You know it.
It's not just rum, it's rum and wine.
Right. But at least the name of it gives you a hint. So I was there, and I'm eating the Thanksgiving dinner, and the food did taste pretty good. Um, uh, and I found out afterwards. I had some fruit cake for dessert, and I had eaten. I asked them to give me a slice. They gave me a pretty hefty slice too. And the first bite, like, it felt like cake with fire water going down. And I was
Okay.
like, oh my God, what is this? They're like, oh, it's fruitcake. And I'm thinking fruitcake is like regular cake. It's not supposed to feel
Yeah.
warm going down. I should not feel smoke coming out of my ears going down from cake. Okay. And so, I was like, what is that makes it, do that? And they were like, oh, it's just a little, it's just a, we cook with alcohol here. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, it's, got some little, just a little bit. It's not much in there, just a little bit of alcohol, but all the food was cooked with alcohol.
Oh no. Are you kidding?
Yes, yes.
Oh.
I ate collard greens that was cooked in alcohol. I had turkey that was cooked in alcohol. I had string beans that was cooked in alcohol.
So
Um,
sorry.
and and so by the time I didn't notice it, it was seasoned very nicely and everything, and it was good, and so I didn't know. So by the time I got to the fruit cake, I was already intoxicated.
Oh my
At
goodness.
least my body was, and so because I didn't feel the burn, I didn't even taste the alcohol in the food.
Right. Because it was
Okay,
cooked in, and some of it,
right, but it
yeah,
was
if
cooked
it would
in,
have, it would evaporate. Yeah, some of it would.
right.
Yeah.
At least I thought, So by the time I had the fruit cake, like that, I could taste it, and I was like, I had this hunk of a piece of a cake, and I had took one bite, but I took a big bite, and they're all looking at me like, aren't you going to finish your fruit cake? And I'm like, I was trying to figure out how to make it disappear without eating it. Okay, I didn't want to offend them, but I'm like, y'all should have told us that you cooked everything in alcohol, because I'm not a drinker,
Right.
but
So it'll affect you differently. Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm like, I feel like I'm under the influence, you know, and I was the driver, okay, and I was scared to get behind the wheel because I'm like, I had fruitcake, and you know, I don't know what this thing is gonna do, and I gotta drive home. I'm up in Buffalo. There's snow on the ground. I don't know. And but God made sure that we all got home safely. And even though I was, feeling it, right after dinner, I did drink some coffee, and I did, stayed until I felt the effects wear off. And I told Daryl, I'm like, we're never coming back to your house to eat ever again. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. You should
Mm.
tell people that is, the
Yes.
food, all of the food
Yes.
is cooked in alcohol. And like they're regular drinkers. So what they said was only a little bit. It might have been the whole bottle in that fruitcake. I don't know, but they were
Mhm.
like, I don't understand what the problem is. And I'm like, you gave me a whole alcoholic meal. Like, my body I'm gonna have to deal with that, okay? But yeah, that's my story, and everything. Thank God I did not have a hangover or anxiety, but I did go home and drink a whole lot of water. I did. I tried to flush out all of that because I didn't want to have any problems later on. Um, I think I was even no, that was before Nairi was born. Because I was gonna say, if he was born, I was breastfeeding, and you
Right.
know, he would have got the alcohol too in the breast milk. It would
He
have been a
would have.
mess,
Yes.
But
Yes.
thank God that happened before he was born, and you know, um, but you don't know, so like that could happen to you eating food that's cooked in alcohol. Okay.
Cooked in alcohol. Who knew?
Yeah,
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 so
but
I usually think that if there is alcohol in something, let folks know. Like whenever I bring a black cake, when I purchase one and I bring one someplace, I let folks know, hey, it has rum and it has wine. Fruits that were soaked in wine too. Because I'm not taking for granted that those fruits are, because I know most people who bake professionally, they usually soak their fruits a year in advance. Okay. So
wow. So that's a long time.
yeah, that's a
That's
long
what
time.
happened with the fruitcake.
That's that's a long time. So I always tell folks, I'm like, just know, because I know some folks like our black cake, and I would purchase it. But and even though when I'm ordering mine, I always say, but and then like, no, we're not putting any rum in it. And you can smell because the fruits has it. Well, they just use
Yeah,
the fruits.
that's what happens with the fruitcake. The
Yeah,
fruit, the
the,
fruit
the,
is
the fruits
yeah,
are
and
soaked.
I mean they probably put some more alcohol in the batter, but
You
you could
never
get
know.
tore up
I'm
off the
not,
fruit.
yes, you never know, my dear. You
Yeah,
never know. Yeah. So I just say, but it's just to say so you don't, because no one wants to feel unwell and no one wants to get to the point where they make themselves unwell. Because especially now with healthcare system like it is, huh, everyone.
right.
And that being said, excuse me, after we're going to next week talk about the DOE and the 11 professional degrees that there are out there.
That's left.
That's left. So yeah, and we were quite
Surprise.
yeah, to say the least, to find out that nurses and physician assistants and social workers, educators. I mean, I can't. I just can't.
Yeah.
But we'll
Um.
we'll discuss that in the next Wake the Nation, and we'll see if we can get someone who can come on to answer some questions. So if not, we'll just present because everybody's busy, things are happening, but we'll still present on it, whether or not we have someone to come on as well. But we'll get the information and we'll bring it to you. All right, so please, please, please stay safe. We see there was a tornado in Florida. There have been tornadoes in Alabama. There have been spurts and you know, uh, we've had our own issues here in New York City, and so it's just all over in Indiana, in Ohio, in different states, Virginia, Maryland, so we just want you to stay safe, be safe, stay warm. And I pray that, for the cities that have those who are unhoused, that, they were at least escorted somewhere warm where they wouldn't have to lay in the snow. I know for many, they don't trust shelters, but I pray that someplace they would find someplace warm to put them during this storm that we're having. So, with that being said, thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you learned something and that you'll share this with others. Please share if you're on Facebook, and if you're not, you can go. I'm going to upload to my YouTube channel, and you can find it on Dunamis Sound Minds. We'll put it on, the other sites, and so you can share from there as well. So thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Wake the Nation. Thank you. We love you. All right.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks, co-host. Tonight we're both in blue and we didn't plan it.
Right. That's
Right?
something.
Yes. Thanks, beautiful. All right. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thank you, Ralph.
Hmm.